From Storm Tracker 6, this is Forecast First, sponsored by Auto Owners Insurance. Simple human sense.
Well, we've seen a pretty dreary day across the area. Sunshine has just made it through the clouds, and we're seeing temperatures into the 50s. 56 degrees in Lansing and Mason, 57 degrees in Jackson, 61 degrees down into Hillsdale, and 64 into Coldwater. That's because we saw a little bit more sunshine down in those parts of the state. Satellite radar still showing some cloudy skies working their way back into the forecast, and we'll continue to see those clouds slowly work back into the forecast for tonight, with mostly cloudy skies returning by the day tomorrow. Our temperatures though tonight are going to continue to fall back down into the 40s with those partly cloudy skies. I'll have the full details coming up in just a little bit. 6 News at 5:30 starts right now.
WLNS is here for you, celebrating 75 years of bringing you the news with 6 News at 5:30.
Right now at 5:30, a Michigan woman once again learns her fate for murdering her husband after setting him on fire. Plus, a prison break like something out of a movie, and those dangerous men are still on the run. And some prison inmates tried an unusual approach to sneak drugs past guards. All that coming up in the first 6 minutes. Thanks for joining us. I'm Siobhan Klepfer. Let's start that clock. And tonight we begin in Van Buren County, where a jury has convicted Linda Sturmer for a second time of murdering her husband. Today, a judge sentenced the 60-year-old to life without parole. In 2007, Sturmer doused her husband with gas and set him on fire after finding out he had an affair. When Todd Sturmer ran outside of the home, she ran him over with a van. She was originally convicted in 2010, but in 2020, an appeals court ordered a new trial. A jury convicted Sturmer again in April. The body of a 5-year-old girl missing after being hit by a train has been found. She and her family were crossing on a railroad bridge when they were hit by a Norfolk Southern train on Sunday in Fremont, Ohio. 2 adults were killed and a 14-month-old was injured. The 5-year-old fell into the river below. Her body was recovered from the water just before noon today. And across the central United States, officials are still looking over the damage caused by the tornadoes and powerful storms that swept through last week. Kentucky was hit the hardest. A tornado damaged hundreds of homes and buildings and killed at least 19 people. In St. Louis, 5 people died, 38 were injured, and more than 5,000 homes were damaged on Friday. And 2 people died in a tornado elsewhere in Missouri. Back here in the Great Lakes region, a 6-year-old boy is safe tonight after being rescued Saturday when he was swept out into Lake Michigan from a Chicago beach. A father and son were riding jet skis when they saw the boy's small inflatable raft hundreds of yards offshore, but not the boy.
About 80 feet from the raft, I seen just a head and a little hand sticking up, and I raced over there.
Well, Tommy Peeler and his dad rescued not just the boy, but 2 adults as well who tried to swim to the raft but were having trouble in the waves. Also in Lake Michigan, the Wisconsin Historical Society announced a tugboat that sank in 1923 has been found. The J.C. Ames was found just north of the Breakwater in Manitowoc. It was found less than 10 feet below the surface. Now, experts say there's evidence it was buried in sand and likely only recently was exposed. The 160-foot wooden boat was sunk on purpose, a common practice at the time for vessels at the end of their lives. In New York City, much of the crew of the Mexican Navy ship that hit the Brooklyn Bridge Saturday have now returned home. 7 officers and 172 cadets were aboard the tall sailing ship when it hit the bridge, killing 2 crew members. At least one of those killed fell from one of the masts, which collapsed in the hit with the bridge. The National Transportation Safety Board is investigating this crash. Also in New York today is the 100th birthday of civil rights icon Malcolm X, and it was marked by several advocates calling for the principles of diversity, equity, and inclusion to be upheld. The Reverend Al Sharpton was joined by several relatives of Malcolm X at the National Action Network House of Justice. Sharpton said in a statement that, quote, "It is crucial we keep the torch he lit alive to ensure Black Americans have their seat at the table, the ability to speak, and the ability to lead." The manhunt continues tonight for inmates who escaped from a New Orleans prison early Friday morning. 3 of the 10 men were captured later that day, but there are 7 still on the run tonight, and all are considered dangerous. The inmates broke out by removing a toilet and even left taunting parting messages, including "too easy, LOL." Security footage shows they exited at a loading dock and used a blanket to jump the barbed wire fence. It was 7 hours before anyone noticed they were gone. Officials believe they might now be evading capture with help from family and friends.
We're confident this time that we have actionable intelligence on all 7 of those fugitives. And we hope in the coming days, if not the coming hours, that we have them all apprehended. But we need the public's help.
The FBI, Crime Stoppers, and the ATF are offering rewards of $17,000 for each inmate. The governor signed an executive order directing an investigation into the escape and ordered an audit of the jail. 3 prison guards have been suspended. Looking at international news now, at least 3 trucks were seen driving from Israel into Gaza today. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said on Sunday he will ease the blockade of Gaza and let limited amounts of food into the region. The blockade was set up in March. Gaza health authorities say the Israeli campaign has devastated Gaza, pushing nearly all of its 2 million citizens from their homes and killing more than 53,000 people. Vice President J.D. Vance just wrapped up a meeting with Pope Leo XIV today. The VP gave the first American Pope a letter from President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump inviting him to visit the U.S. The Vice President gave the Pope a Chicago Bears jersey with his name on it since Leo is from Chicago. And meanwhile, the Pope gifted Mr. Vance a bronze sculpture bearing the message, "Peace is a fragile flower." Staying with the Trump administration, Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. will put out a report this week naming what his agency says are the top contributors to chronic health problems. One of those will be the active ingredient in the Roundup brand of weed killer. That chemical is already considered by the World Health Organization to be likely cancer-causing in humans. The drug company Regeneron is agreeing to buy 23andMe, the genetic testing company, out of bankruptcy for $256 million. Officials for the drug makers say they'll abide by 23andMe's privacy policies, and laws on protecting consumer data. And wrapping up our first 6 minutes of news tonight, prison guards in Costa Rica recently spotted a 4-footed intruder into the facility. But this cat burglar wasn't taking anything. It was bringing something in, packages of drugs. Officials say the cat was intercepted before reaching any inmates. It was carrying marijuana and crack cocaine in bags tied around its body. The cat is now in the care of the country's Animal Welfare Service. I don't know how you train a cat to do that.
I thought I've heard it all, but like taping or wrapping drugs on a cat, like that's a whole new level of something.
Yes, it is. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
The weather, you know, it's not too bad today, a little chillier, but
yeah, it's going to continue to feel chilly this week, and we're going to continue to feel like April in the next couple of days. And we also will have some rain showers as well. I'll talk about that in just a little bit.